and welcome to a new video where I ramble about the internet going well. Today I wanted to talk more about underconsumption, which I also did for like a minute in my overconsumption video, but I think that I am supposed to like this underconsumption trend, but I have a feeling that I won't. So it's time to dive into this and to see what's really going on here. The way we're going to look at this is to see if those things that are supposed to be underconsumption are really good for the world and really sustainable for your own life. I mean, like for example, doing 16 different kinds of recycling and starting that all at once is not sustainable for your own life because you're going to do that for a week and then never again, because that's just too much to keep up with. Before we get started with this though, I'm putting myself through art school and that is sometimes kind of hard, so I could use your help and you can help me a lot by just subscribing and watching my videos, and I would appreciate that a lot. I'm trying to gather 1,000 of you before the start of summer, and we are on the right way to do that, and I would love to have you on this journey with me. As for what I do in art school, I lately made this book. It's finally done. I would already change a million things about it, but that's just how that goes. For example, that you cannot see the title here, but it's called A Cup of Dopamine, and the letters are purple. I do like the letters, but they're a little too dark to read. But that's okay, because the inside is just black and white, and they're just drawings and text that I wrote, and you can get it in the link in the description. I'm still really excited about this and really proud of this because I made this myself, I printed it myself, I draw it myself, I did everything myself. So I'm really proud of this, and I learned to do this in art school. Most of it. The idea came from my mind. It's about ADHD and my mild coffee addiction and addiction in general and being nice to yourself, and it's great. I think people who have read it also said that it's great. Okay, that's about what I'm making. Now let's get started. Also, I know that I'm promoting something in a video about underconsumption. I think books in general, especially in the environment we live in right now, are a valuable thing to get when you can do that, and if you can go to the library and get books that are not banned or whatever, or have opinions in them, that's great. But some people just can't, and I think buying books is valuable. Of course, only if you really want or feel the need to read them. Don't just buy a million books and never read them. I'd say that's my opinion.
I'm pretty obsessed with underconsumption. Here are 3 things you can do to engage in underconsumption, starting literally wherever you are right now. Number 1, and this is really important, is declutter all of your belongings, go through them, and keep only the things that spark joy for you and the things that you feel like your higher self would own.
In my opinion, decluttering has nothing to do with how much you're buying. Like, you're not deciding what to buy or not when you're decluttering your house. Sure, decluttering can be very good for your mental brain space, but it's just something different than underconsuming. Underconsumption sounds like buying less than you actually need, because that's technically what that word means. And we are also technically not trying to Marie Kondo ourselves in the process of underconsumption, I think. Also, in the spirit of the environment, just throwing out a bunch of stuff as the first step in consuming less doesn't sound like a great idea. I don't know if this works the same for neurotypical people, but as a person with ADHD, I always tend to forget what I do with my stuff, and very often I need a very specific thing, then I spend hours looking for it, and then I'm very happy when I find it. However, if I were to Marie Kondo my life right now and throw out a bunch of stuff that I haven't used in a while, you will see that I need a very specific thing that I never use anyway the next week, and then I'm not even going to try to find it because I just threw a bunch of it out, and if I don't remember if I did throw this thing out or not, I'm just not even going to try. The next step in that is that I buy the new thing, and then whenever I move or Marie Kondo my house again, I will find the thing, so then I have 2 of them, and that doesn't work. So I don't think decluttering your house entirely is a great plan. It can be a great plan, but it's not a great first step in this consuming less thing. I feel like the point of underconsumption is to use what you have already until it's falling apart, and not to throw out half of your belongings.
Number 2, organize your belongings so that all like items are stored in the same place. So for example, put all your t-shirts in one place, all your water bottles in one place. And the function of this is that you're constantly taking stock of what you own in that category, and you can see where you have duplicates You can see what you need, what you don't need.
Okay, I understand the point of this. Going off my forgetting what you have story, this would be good advice, I think. Starting to do this all at once might be a lot or too much, I think. Maybe I do this with general areas in my house instead of very specific places. For example, I have one cable drawer and a cable box. The cable box is for cables I never use, mostly, and the cable drawer is for cables I sometimes use, so it's more accessible. And if I'm looking for a cable and it's not in the drawer or not in the box, I don't have it and I can get a new one. But this advice would be very helpful for consuming less, I think.
And number 3 is ask yourself these 3 questions before you buy something new. So, is this who I want to be going forward? Would my higher self own this? And do I need this? If not, would it significantly improve my life? I totally let myself buy things I don't technically need. It's like a really strong want or something that I just know is going to really improve my life. That could be a handbag, that could be a lipstick, that could be a functional item. Then I'm totally just gonna get.
I think these questions are not too bad to ask yourself before buying something new. Thinking about if you actually want or need something will be very helpful. However, I'm not really sure about this higher self thing, because that makes it sound like this underconsumption thing is about reinventing yourself. To me, it even sounds like you would ascend to a different plane of existence or a higher plane of existence if you were to be a true underconsumer, which would make this more of a cult than a trend. I don't know if this is a general part of the underconsumption trends, but we'll discover that once we see more of these. Trying to become your higher self by underconsuming doesn't sound very sustainable though, for yourself, not like the environment. I don't think the environment cares about your higher self. I don't know, maybe it does. Depends on how you look at it.
Welcome to my underconsumption core that I live as a frugal person because I refuse to live a life that looks like this. I've had the same 2 towels ever since I moved into my apartment 5 years ago. My curtains are twin-sized bed sheets that I got in a bed set. I needed a shelf and I actually found this really cute one in a dumpster when I was dumpster diving. That's not a screen protector on my phone. That's the original wrapping when I got the phone 3 years ago. It's barely hanging on, but we're getting by. I don't use trash bags. I use paper bags that my friends and family get from grocery shopping that they don't need. I have a stack of junk mail and envelopes that I use for note taking. Because why waste your money buying a notepad? I've had this same water bottle that I've used for I don't even know how long at this point. I have a handful of boxes in case I sell anything that I get from my parents' house because they buy a lot of stuff online. Definitely a money saver. I've used the same bag to carry my lunch to work for like 3 years now because seriously, who cares what your coworkers think about you? No joke, I have used this same plate since college like 12 years ago. It's the only plate I have. Oh, and I use thick advertisements that come in the mail as coasters. Cut my sponges in half because why ruin a whole sponge? I only have this one cologne that was randomly gifted to me 2 years ago. Oh, you guys have like 15 colognes and perfumes, I don't get it. Then I've had this one pair of winter boots since like 2018 and they're still holding up. Okay, that's it. I ran out of time. Thanks for watching.
This is what I think of when I hear the word underconsumption. Most of these things are very easy to implement, like my grandma also used to write notes on old envelopes. But some of these do go a bit too far in my opinion. Like, it's great for him if he can use bed sheets as curtains, but I know that a lot of people don't want to use bed sheets as curtains because it just doesn't look too aesthetically pleasing, and a lot of people want an aesthetically pleasing house, which is fine. And also curtains exist for a reason. Like, I feel like you can kind of look through bed sheets, so if people outside are looking inside your house and you just have bed sheets up, they could potentially see you if you don't want that. Or light pollution, because a lot of people use curtains to sleep, myself included, to make the room dark enough to sleep in, and bed sheets don't cut it, especially if you have a street lamp right outside your house. And curtains are also used for isolation sometimes. If you have those thick curtains and just single glass windows, and you have those thick curtains and it's winter, they can help you keep the cold out and the warm inside, you know? Or if it's really warm outside, it can help you keep the cold inside and the warm outside. So curtains have a lot of different purposes, and just replacing them by bed sheets mostly won't work for a lot of people. But if it works for you, it's fine. But I don't think it's good advice per se. If that's all you have, or if you need a solution and bed sheets are the only thing you own, yeah, then of course. But I would go for real curtains. And I think that's really okay. I also get a little confused about the saving money part of this thing. Of course, it's nice to save money, and it's gonna be a part of underconsumption always, because if you buy less, you just have more money. That's how it works. But underconsumption is a reaction to overconsumption, and whenever I've heard people talking about overconsumption, they were not really talking about the money aspect of it. They were mostly talking about the environment aspect of it. So I think saving money can be a side part of this conversation, but it shouldn't be the main part. This is very much my opinion. But it confuses me that that's the main motivation of this guy to underconsume, because I think that's just more advice on how to save money and less advice on how to underconsume in terms of this trend being a reaction to overconsumption, if you get what I mean. Also, I think that saving money can be a great incentive to take part in this trend or consume less in general, but it won't work for people that have a lot of expendable income, who are most likely the problem here. And I think that if you're an overconsumer and notice that it's a problem for you, and also that you're getting into financial trouble because of it, you should get maybe to therapy or something, because then you probably need some help, because you might have a buying addiction, which is a thing and again should not be judged. But I think in overconsumption the main problem should be people that have a lot of expendable income, because otherwise saying, hey, you should consume less, it will save you money, won't work for them. Like, we've always known that, or at least I can see that the environment and money cannot be seen separately, but mainly because of the big polluters are also the very rich people and the very rich companies. So saving money as incentive to consume less can exist, but will never be the main part of it being a reaction to overconsumption, if you get what I mean. I feel like I'm being very vague right now. I try to explain it the best I could. If you want to talk about it, send me an email or a comment. I think comments are easier, but you can also email me. Anyways, I don't think money should be the main thing in underconsumption core, as I think underconsumption core is a reaction to overconsumption. Moving on, I think that replacing items that are broken is not a crime, and you should be able to do that. I think that's totally fine, and I do think that's even better for the environment, probably most of the time. Like, for example, this guy had their towels that he still uses, and towels are often made with polyester or other synthetic fibers, and if you put them in the laundry machine, those fibers get a little loose and they end up in the water drain, which is not what we want at all. So if you can replace them, that's, I think, better for the environment in the end. You can even still use those towels as like one-time cleaning racks. You can cut them up for your bike, for example. I don't know why I said bike. I said bike because a lot of people ride bikes in the Netherlands. There are more bikes here than people, actually, and sometimes you need to clean your bike. Not a lot of people do that. My mom did maybe do that multiple times. It's a very sustainable thing for your skin to get new towels every so many years.
Underconsumption core, this is my makeup bag, and I'm going to tell you what's in it. It's more so a makeup essential bag. First we have blush, the Road Blush. I mean, that's one of my favorite makeup products. Concealer. This is what I believe you only need, ladies, because you are gorgeous. Underconsumption core, this is my makeup bag, and I'm going to tell you what's in it. It's more so a makeup essential bag. First we have blush, the Road Blush. I mean, that's one of my favorite makeup products. Concealer. This is what I believe you only need, ladies, because you are gorgeous. My lip liner combos. My chapstick, because I believe in hydration, not sticky, glossy bullshit. Wet n Wild. This shit sucks, but I really only use it to apply the e.l.f. brow gel. Stuff is amazing. A compact mirror to apply. Eye drops. Perfume. Earplugs. Lens wipes. Hair ties and bobby pins. That's all you need. That's all you need, especially when traveling. Love ya.
I don't understand what is underconsumption about this. Like, this is a makeup bag for on the go, and also, to be honest, none of the overconsumption people would stuff their 30 foundations and 74 lipsticks in a to-go bag to travel, because that wouldn't make any sense at all. It's totally okay to use these items, that's not my problem here. But this person is showing off each item and even says one of the brand names in this video. Like, this person also has a storefront from the Evil Basil site in her bio, where she sells beauty products, and to be honest, have not looked as far as to see if this specific brand name was also in these products, but I cannot see how this is supposed to be underconsumption. It does read more like an ad than an underconsumption or trend thing, you know? I don't really like it. To be honest, a lot of the underconsumption core trend people on the internet are a lot less confusing than these people. Most of it is just about buying secondhand stuff and asking yourself if you really need something when you get it, and using what you have already, which are things that I actively support and try to do myself too. Like, there's not really a problem with that in general. I think those are good things. Most of the underconsumption trends promote things that I think personally are good for the world and are sustainable for your own life. However, I do think that a lot of the people participating in this trend, even the people that I personally agree with, kind of are missing the point of underconsumption. Or rather, I think that underconsumption core is not the best reaction to overconsumption core. First of all, underconsumption and normal consumption are two different things. Overconsumption and underconsumption are the two very ends of a very wide spectrum of consumption. And underconsumption is technically consuming less than you actually need in life. Like the guy with the towels that I think deserve to be replaced. Asking the overconsumption people to move to the underconsumption end of the spectrum is asking too much of these people, and I also frankly think that that's very unnecessary. And second of all, I wrote down my point about the money aspect of this, but I already went on a tangent about that. That was not in the script. But I do think that money can be a great secondary motivation to consume less, but it shouldn't be the main motivation in terms of a reaction to overconsumption and the environment. But we already talked about that. I was being vague, I think, but I really hope I got my point across about this. Like, saving money is very great, and consuming less and caring for the environment and saving money often go hand in hand, and that's great. But yeah, and also, of course, nobody can single-handedly save the world. So combining point 1 about underconsumption versus normal consumption and point 2 about money and underconsumption core, if only a very few people go from overconsumption to underconsumption, I don't think a lot will change in the world in terms of the environment again. However, if a very big amount of people would start paying attention to how much they are consuming and being more mindful about that, I do think it would be able to help the world if we all started to do that. Would it save the world from actively burning as it is right now? Probably not. I don't think so. But would it be better than getting 3 people to move from overconsumption to underconsumption? Yes, I truly believe that. But I'm not an environmental scientist. I'm a musicologist and an art student. So the only things I really know is about society and humanities, which is already very helpful, but I did not do the math on this. But this is based on just my own critical thinking and my opinion. I do think it would be easier if a lot of people started to be a little more mindful about their consumption. You know, I don't think the underconsumption trend is inherently harmful, but I do think it can use some fine-tuning. Like, a lot more creatives can be more mindful or think more about what they're posting about this, and it shouldn't be a trend. It should be like normal consumption in general, always, not a temporary trend, because trends are often, or like always, because that's the meaning of the word, temporary, and it shouldn't be temporary. Well, that's what I had to say about this. Thank you for watching. If you like my little video, please press those wonderful shiny like and subscribe buttons. I would appreciate that a lot, and then I will see you next time. Ciao!